this channel where we spread love and positive vibes. And by the way, guys, I really appreciate your support, the new subscribers and the returning subscribers. I don't take you for granted. Thank you so much for tuning in this channel where we talk about the land we all love. And today I want us to actually have a conversation of when Jamaica and Kenya came together. Jamaica and Kenya share a lot, which actually started way back before independence. We all know that Jamaicans are known to actually participate in most of the independence struggle of most of the countries in Africa. And Kenya is not an exception because Jamaica played a very great role for Kenya to attain independence. And we all know the history that Dandri Thompson of Jamaica represented Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in a court of law when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was accused of treason by the British government. Jamaica, of all the countries in the universe, are the ones that sent us their own son, Pan-Africanist Thompson, to come and actually represent Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in a court of law. This was actually a very big gesture from Jamaica to Kenya because we can actually say correctly that Jamaica participated in the struggle for independence for Kenya. And for that, there is always a cordial relationship between Jamaica and Kenya. And there are several times or several occasions when Jamaica and Kenya have come together. One of the occasions is when the former President Uhuru Kenyatta visited Jamaica. It was not just a visit, it was actually a historical visit because in this particular visit, Uhuru Kenyatta was going to actually celebrate Jamaican 57th Independence Day celebration. And it was a great day for Kenya and Jamaica to come together and to agree on some issues concerning the two countries. First of all, when Uhuru Kenyatta arrived in Kingston, Jamaica, in Norman Manley Airport, he was given a warm welcome with Jamaican Defense Forces giving him a guard of honor and a 21-gun salute. And this was a great welcome for a leader from Africa where Jamaicans originally started. And I want to show you a video of what was happening in that particular day, which was on 5th August 2019 when Uhuru Kenyatta visited Jamaica and the two countries came together and had some agreements concerning the working relationship between Jamaica and Kenya. Have a look at this. Now, you can see the warm welcome the Jamaican people gave to former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Apart from that, there was some cultural entertainment and some cultural sharing between Kenya and Jamaica. The Kenyan national anthem was sung, and of course, the Jamaican songs, traditional songs, were presented to former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, apart from that, there was some agreement and pledges that the two leaders of Jamaica and Kenya, that is Uhuru Kenyatta and Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, sat down and pledged. They pledged to deepen bilateral and people-to-people ties for the benefit of the two countries. They witnessed the signing of several agreements or MOUs on technical situations between the two countries. And these are some of the things that the two leaders agreed when Kenya and Jamaica came together to agree on how they can assist each other to move forward economically and also in terms of social relationship between Kenya and Jamaica. Guys, the two countries or the two leaders sat together and they agreed to cooperation on tourism and in fields of sports, culture, and heritage. We all know that Jamaica and Kenya are very good when it comes to sports. Kenya is good in the long distance races and Jamaica is good in short distances, and therefore the two leaders agreed to work together in the fields of sports, culture, and heritage, and of course in tourism, where Jamaica excels and Kenya also experiences some tourism when it comes to animals. They also agreed that the two governments are on an MOU on political consultations. And this was a great agreement if Jamaica and Kenya can come together to agree on some political, assisting one another politically to think, what can you do better to actually make your country better? I wish that the current leadership of Kenya and the current leadership of Jamaica can sit down and agree, consult on how they can manage and how they can govern so that both the people of Jamaica and Kenya can benefit from the freedom that was attained from colonial masters. Because this is very, very important considering that Jamaica and Kenya are sharing a lot in common. They agreed on establishment of transport connections between Kenya and Jamaica. This is something that we have been longing for, and the two leaders sat down and talked about connections of transport between Kenya and Jamaica. They actually talked about an air transportation, in other words, planes that go to Jamaica from Kenya or from Jamaica to Kenya. And this is what we have been talking about because this was way back the dream of Marcus Garvey, and we still wait that there'll be direct flights from Kenya to Jamaica. We all want to go to Jamaica, but the journey to go to Jamaica involves a lot because you have to pass through countries that requires you to have their visas so that you can be allowed to pass their countries. But if there can be a direct flight from Kenya to Jamaica, some of us can be very fortunate to actually visit Jamaica because we don't need a lot of paper processes so that we can actually get visas through the countries that we are supposed to pass while going to Jamaica. And of course, the freight will be cheaper than it is today. They also agreed on the establishment of, that one I've said, they also agreed on cooperation on the blue economy. Jamaica has actually very rich blue economy, and it can actually share with Kenya some of the tips they have used to attract tourism to come to their island, because Kenya needs to improve when it comes to attraction on tourism so that they can actually be comfortable and they can come and visit Kenya. So there were several agreements, and they also agreed on the University of Addis to open its first satellite center in Nairobi, and that center was to be based in the Nairobi University. I hope all this was done, because as for the direct flight, we have not seen it. But we are hoping that the leadership can actually sit down and talk on these agreements that were agreed between the two countries when they came together, so that we can actually benefit a lot in terms of trade, in terms of social, and in terms of all what they agreed that Jamaica and Kenya can share together. Now, the teaching of Marcus Garvey had actually a strong, this is actually, I'm sharing with you the historical remembrance of the encounter between Kenya and Jamaica. And we have seen that one of the encounter was when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was represented by a Jamaican in a court of law. The second encounter is when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's son, Uhuru Kenyatta, historically went back to Jamaica to have, or rather to celebrate, the Independence Day of Jamaica. And when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was being represented by a Jamaican lawyer, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta also benefited and had great influence from the teachings of Marcus Garvey, and they actually impacted him to actually fight or push for independence. So these teachings of Marcus Garvey had a strong impact in the people of Kenya to push for independence in 1960s. So Marcus Garvey is a leader that will be remembered forever, because apart from pushing the Caribbean countries and his own country, Jamaica, to fight for independence, he also motivated and impacted most of the countries in Africa in their fight and quench for independence. Marcus Garvey had significant influence on Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in their fight to independence. And we have talked about Dandre Thompson, who actually represented Mzee Jomo Kenyatta in a court of law when Mzee was accused of treason by the British government. So Jamaica and Kenya have had a cordial relationship, a historical relationship, a deep relationship way back in those years. And therefore, you can see that these encounters were not coincidence. They were actually friendship encounters that were to actually change a lot in the history of Jamaica and Kenya. When former President Uhuru Kenyatta visited Jamaica, he was actually a chief guest at the 5th Jamaican Independence Day, 57th Jamaican Independence Day. He made history by presenting Rita Marley, the window to Bob Marley, the Order of Jamaica during the Jamaican 57th Independence Grand Gala held at the Jamaican National Stadium in Kingston. So apart from just visiting Jamaica, Uhuru Kenyatta was actually to see the wife of Bob Marley, Rita Marley, because we all know that Bob Marley also contributed a lot to the fighting of independence, both in Jamaica and also here in Kenya. And therefore, it was very, very necessary for Uhuru Kenyatta to actually visit the window, Rita Marley, and have a conversation with her, and also grant her this award that he was supposed to be granted. And it happens that Bob Marley, when he was alive, he actually called his son Kimani, which he did to pay homage to Kenyan culture. So the relationship between Jamaica and Kenya has been deep. And there are several encounters that Jamaica and Kenya have come across. And we can see that in this particular time, reggae musician Bob Marley came to Kenya, and to honor the culture of Kenya, he named his own son Kimani. Kimani is a Kikuyu name, and therefore Bob Marley felt that the son should have an African name, and he chose Kimani, a Kenyan name, to give to the son. I've also seen Burning Spear also called his son a Kikuyu name to actually honor Kikuyu culture or the Kenyan culture or the African culture. And it was a great thing to learn because I didn't know these heroes actually referenced and respected Kenya that much that they could actually name their own sons after the names in Kenya. So we have seen Bob Marley giving his son the name Kemani, and Burning Spear gave his son the name Jomo. Jomo means burning spear in Kikuyu. And therefore they found that they could name their sons after the Kenyan name to pay homage to the Kenyan culture. So these are some of the occasions when Jamaica and Kenya found themselves together. The other occasion is when Vybz Kartel talked about Kenya as his home country. He actually said, Kenya is my second home. And this was very, very tremendous because we all know that the Kenyan people love Jamaican music and they actually celebrate Jamaican artists so much. One of the countries that really celebrated the release of Vybz Kartel was Kenya. And therefore, after the release, Vybz Kartel came on a video and declared his love for Kenya and actually talked about Kenya as the second home. He talked about being a Jamaican Kenyan. Have a look at this video, then we can move on.
Uganda, you're not going under, Zane?
You're not going under.
All right. Yeah, I'm born in Jamaica, but I'm a Kenyan. Yeah, that's my heritage. That's my lineage. You have to understand. You understand? I am Kenyan. Big up Kenya forever.
Guys, remember we are looking at when Kenya and Jamaica came together. So Vybz Kartel in that video, he's declaring that Kenya is part of him because he feels that the people of Kenya appreciate him, they actually appreciate his music, and they desire to have an encounter with him. And that, after that video, Vybz Kartel promised in front of a Kenyan lady that he was to come and visit Kenya. And he talked about Kenya in a very, very great way with a lot of love because I know Vybz Kartel knows that there are so many Kenyans who adore him and actually respect him and love his music. So have a look at this video, then I'll come back.
Say hi.
Hey, what's up, Kenya? You know it's me, Vybz Kartel, and I'm representing for the entire Kenya. Hey, big up Nairobi, and big up the whole Kenya. What this under me knows, I'm out. What we are going to do with bad man, get them out. What we do with some Kenyan girls, clean around. Oh.
This is just another occasion to see the deep relationship between Kenya and Jamaica. Apart from that, we see Kenyans and Jamaicans coming together when it came to the fact that the Jamaican soldiers were to go to Haiti and assist in peacekeeping. The Kenyan soldiers had gone earlier to Haiti, and therefore the Jamaican soldiers were to go and find the Kenyan soldiers there. They fight together to liberate Haiti. This is the third time now I am seeing Kenyans and Jamaicans coming together and working in unison for a common goal. We have talked about Uhuru Kenyatta talking with Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, on how to develop the two countries. We have seen Mzee Jomo Kenyatta being represented by a Jamaican in a court of law. We have also seen Vybz Kartel several times promising to come to Kenya and actually calling Kenya home. And now we see Jamaican soldiers together with Kenyan soldiers in keeping peace in Haiti. Have a look at this.
Where they joined the 400 Kenyan police deployed in June and July.
To gather here today for the sole purpose of welcoming our brothers from Jamaica and Belize for this special mission that we are undertaking. And I can tell the Haitian community and the Haitian people, as I said earlier, We are not going to tell you.
Contingent of 200 officers, but the Prime Minister said it was not possible to deploy them all at once.
Haiti is the example of what could happen if states and governments do not take the problem seriously.
This is actually the many times Kenya and Jamaica came together for a common goal, a common purpose, and fighting a common enemy. During Uhuru Kenyatta's visit to Jamaica, the common enemy was poverty and governance, which they were to discuss and see how they can sort out the problems that are happening in the two countries. When the Jamaican soldiers and Kenyan soldiers went to Haiti, they had a common goal to bring peace to this country, to restore order in Haiti, and to return to the people of Haiti the peace they so much desired. When Thompson traveled all the way to Kenya, he came to ensure the brothers and sisters in the land of Kenya are free, are independent, are well represented in a court of law. Jamaica and Kenya share a lot in common, and they share a cordial relationship that actually started way back before Kenya attained independence. And that is all what I have for you today. Thanks once again for watching us. See you during the next video. Bye bye and God bless.
Thank you.